This video is on how to help a person who is suicidal, how to spot the verbal and behavioral warning signs that a person might be suicidal, and how to best help them. I'm Karen, a licensed holistic psychotherapist, and I bring you videos on holistic well-being, things on physical, mental, and spiritual health. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing, hitting the like button on the video down below, and also hitting the bell to get notifications of future videos. So in the winter, it's natural that our serotonin in our brain dips. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter in the brain that regulates our mood, and it's natural that in the winter it would dip or be a little below what it would be at the other times of year. And that's because it's how the earth is in relation to the sun and how the sun's rays hit our retina that affects our levels of serotonin in our brain. So in the winter, there's just less sunlight, and the angle of the sun is so that it's just not as strong when it hits our retina. And so it's important, especially in the winter, to get outside at least 20 minutes of daily walking outdoors so that you can get the effects, as much effects, natural effect of the sun in regulating your serotonin. So it's a little normal in the winter to feel a little more sad, a little more blue, a little more down. But if you're having suicidal thoughts or feeling more and more depressed, do seek help. So suicide is when a person takes their own life by their own hands with lethal means. They take their own life. A suicidal thought can be both passive or active. A passive suicidal thought would look something like a person thinking or saying, I would be better off dead. I don't want to live anymore. My family would be better off without me. And an active suicidal thought would be, I'm going to kill myself. I have a specific means and I will be taking my life. If a person utters such statements or has such thoughts, the person is most likely depressed. There's a few times where suicide is considered an impulsive act, but most times it's because the person is depressed. And depression occurs when these neurotransmitters in our brain in charge of regulating our brain, such as serotonin, are dysregulated. And this happens either because of a situation, so it's situational, or because of family genetics. So sometimes suicidal thoughts are expressed, meaning they're said out loud to another person, but sometimes they're kept secret. Sometimes a person who is having suicidal thoughts just won't tell another person. So it's really important that if you suspect someone might be suicidal, to ask them, are you suicidal? Don't be afraid to ask them if they're suicidal. If a person is having thoughts of suicide, you saying, are you suicidal, won't make them more suicidal. And if a person has not had any thoughts of suicide, you asking them this question will not make them suicidal. The behavioral signs to watch for in a person who might be suicidal are, you might see things like the person is isolating themselves. They're more and more spending time by themselves rather than with family or friends. They might have uttered such statements as, I'd better be off dead, or it would be better if I'm not here anymore. They might have mood swings. Their moods might just be more up and down than normal. Their sleep and eating routines might have changed, either eating more or eating less, sleeping more or sleeping less. That would be an indication that things are changing for this person and they might be suicidal. The person may be feeling trapped or hopeless. So in conversation with them, if you're noticing that they're using such statements, just make note that it is a warning sign. Also, a person may increase their use of substances with alcohol and drugs. Or they might be saying goodbye to people in a manner that would lead one to believe that they're saying goodbye for the last time. And finally, the last behavioral warning sign to look for is what's called organizing their affairs. So are they suddenly giving away their belongings or selling things, giving away their pets, their prized possessions? Are they downsizing things like downsizing their clothes? Are they getting rid of things? And are they making final preparations like maybe a will? Are they doing these things when there really is no reason for them to be organizing their affairs? And most importantly, has the person been stockpiling pills, buying guns, or any weapon of any kind? Those are really, really good warning signs. So sometimes the threat of suicide is imminent and sometimes it is not as imminent. When it's not as imminent, what that would look like is a person has made passive suicidal statements and maybe a few of the behavioral signs such as isolating themselves. If this is the case, please help them seek help. Speak to a doctor, a therapist, a member of the clergy, or call the National Suicide Prevention Line at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. If the threat of suicide is imminent, whereas the person has made suicidal statements or has a plan and a means to take their own life, then do call 911. There is no other option but call 911. Suicidal ideation or suicidal thoughts are cognitive distortions or thought distortions that do not go away by themselves. One must seek help. So suicidal thoughts arise when a person is in a situation and their ability to cope with that situation has been overwhelmed. It surpasses their ability to cope with that situation. We need to remember, though, that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary situation. It's important to get help for that situation that is overwhelming that person's coping ability so that they can get past this difficult time in their life. Antidepressants are one of the solutions to help in managing mood and bring the mood up so that the person no longer has suicidal thoughts, and working with a therapist to correct the thought distortions is necessary. So the combination of antidepressants and working with a therapist to correct the thought distortions, as well as building a social support network, are vital in helping a person who is having suicidal thoughts. The best thing that one can do for someone who is suicidal is to reach out to them, listen to them, ask them the hard question, are you suicidal, and help them to seek help with a therapist or a doctor or the member of a clergy, or even bringing them to the hospital. And take them on a walk. Remind them to daily take a 20-minute walk outside so that naturally the sun can help their brain produce enough serotonin to keep their mood level. I know this has been a somber topic, yet it is a very important one to talk about. I'm Karen, and I thank you for watching this video, and please consider subscribing, liking the video, and hitting the little bell so you can get notifications of future videos.